Hi students, and welcome back to another live IELTS class right here on YouTube. Everyone, we are focusing on IELTS listening, some administration, conversation between an admin and a person looking to get into politics, and a meeting. This is a part 1 and part 2 of the listening part of the IELTS exam. This is a subscribers chat class, so to join the chat you should subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we of course will see our members as well. Hi Anna and Fuang, welcome Deborah, Azma, Azim, and welcome to our chat moderator Carolina. Everybody, today is the day to save some money. It's Black Friday, the best savings of the year, and we have a 40% discount on our IELTS premium package. You can use the code BLKFDAY40 to save 40% off our premium IELTS course at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. These are the websites that power these live classes. So if you're in these live classes regularly, definitely sign up. This is our general IELTS website here with the green background. And click the big red button for general IELTS. For the academic one, it's aehelp.com. Again, click the big red button here that's just right above my head. And when you do that, to get access to all of our practice exams, videos, audio CDs, and lots more, just enter the code BLKFDAY that I've done here, and you will get a huge discount. And in many countries, of course, it's much cheaper than this because I'm in Canada and we adjust prices to your local economy. Students, the apps that link to the websites are Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help, so download those in your app stores, link them. For Instagram, follow us on IELTS_AE and GIELTS Help. And of course, you can use the Black Friday code through YouTube Shopify, so you can buy the premium package right through YouTube. Click on shopping checkout through Shopify, and then send me an email so we can activate your account. Adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. Tomorrow we'll have speaking part 2, speaking part 3. Now, the speaking classes will be on YouTube this week. We're making upgrades to our system, so we will be making these classes for YouTube this week. Okay, so just a little adjustment there to the schedule to pay attention to. So all of the classes this week are through YouTube. We'll resume our live classes on the website within the first half of December. So we'll do speaking part 2, speaking part 3 on YouTube tomorrow, and we'll also do listening part 3 and 4, the second half of this exam, on YouTube on Sunday this week. So lots and lots coming up for you. And whenever you have some time, check out this reading video, this long form video. It's on YouTube for true, false, not given strategies. Okay. Ganika, I'm not sure what you have going on for tomorrow's IELTS test, but you cannot predict the questions. That's not possible. However, I will definitely help you with getting a good mark, and the way I can do that is just follow with this class. Pay attention to the strategies. For the listening section, and we're looking at the listening section right now, the first strategy is look at the topic of all of the 4 parts during the instruction audio. So at the start of the listening section, You have about 1 minute of audio. So you'll be looking at the listening section questions. This is coming from our 6th exam, this example today. And you see here it says section 1. Now it will say part 1 for you. In 2020, they changed the title from section to part 1. And then you'll see, okay, there's section 1, there's section 2 or part 2. And then there will be part 3. And there will be part 4. Now, you are allowed to look at all of the listening section from the very beginning. The examiner should not tell you you're not allowed to look at other parts. You are allowed to look at other parts. And when the exam starts, the exam will start by saying, this is the listening section. You will only have 1 chance to listen. You should answer while you listen. This material is produced by ESOL Cambridge, and it's copyrighted. So kind of the same idea. So while you are listening to those instructions, look at the topics, okay? So you look at part 1 and you realize, okay, this is an office application for town councillor. So it's an application form. Somebody wants to be a councillor in the town or work for the government in the town. It requires the names, the addresses, and then you quickly go to the second section, which starts with question 11. Each part has 10 questions. And then it will say who pays the salaries of the workers. Complete the table below: sales, downloads, conversion, complaint rate. So right away I can tell that this is some kind of a conversation or discussion about maybe some kind of software or like an app for a phone. Okay, and then I quickly move to part 3, which starts with question 21. And then I look at the first question. It says, how many books has the guest written? So from this question, I know that this listening is probably some kind of an interview, person talking about the books that they're writing. Okay, and then I go to part 4, and then part 4 starts with 31, and I look at the first question: what phenomenon created the first roads? So first roads, so something about roads. Okay, so now I know that part 1, application to work for the town. Part 2, something about software. Okay, part 3, something about a book, and then part 4 is about roads. So I have all of that in my head in the first minute of the listening section. The reason you want to do that is that your brain prepares, it gets ready for that information before you listen. Because if you don't prepare your brain, it's kind of surprising and it's a little bit tricky to be like, oh, they're talking about roads. Okay. What do I know about roads? Oh yeah, I know that they're like highways and they're streets, and roads are made of concrete and asphalt and dirt roads. But by that time, the listening's already going. So you should think about those ideas before you get to that part. And the way to do that is to look at the topics. Okay, so that's the first strategy that I really, really encourage you to use for your IELTS exam. Does that make sense, everybody? So look at the topics. Yes, everybody is on the same page. Karem, Redexar, Epsilonator, Gonica, Elizabeth says yes. Kruti says yes. Our students in the past that used that strategy said, wow, that was really helpful. Like I looked at the 4th part, it was about farming, and I was already thinking about it, and it just made it way easier to answer those questions. So the students that use this strategy really, really feel more confident during the listening. Okay. All right. So let's go back to part 1 here. We're going to do the listening, everybody. Now, while we answer these questions and while we listen, please do not put answers into the chat. Just put them separately. We will go through the answers together after, and I will give you more strategies afterwards as well for each of these, and we'll look at the correct answers, of course. So let's listen, let's answer, let's do our best, and then we'll talk about tips and strategies. So if you have a headset, I highly recommend it. Some of you who already have the premium package, you have this available to you, this exam. This is the 6th exam. So again, we're going back to our IELTS course once more. Join by clicking the big red button to get access to all of the content. Use the Black Friday discount code BLKFDAY40. Okay. Go to your My Student account. Now I'm playing the audio through YouTube, so don't worry. You don't have to buy the course right now if you're not ready yet. It's okay. We'll go to the audio CDs or the tracks, and this is CD1, and it is track 1 from, CD6, I should say. It's CD6 for test 6. And then it's track 1. Okay, everybody, get ready to listen and answer some questions. Here we go. Now, I'll show you again that strategy of looking at the topics while the instructions are going on, so how this works in the real test. Okay, here we go.
This recording is copyrighted by 2 Think One Solutions Inc. and World ESL Tutors. You will hear several different recordings, and you will answer questions on what you hear. There will be time given to read the instructions and questions, and you will be given a chance to check your work. The recordings will be played only once. The test is made up of 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to section 1. Listening section 1. You will hear a conversation between a man and a woman concerning the requirements of running for municipal office. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5.
Okay, then I go back now at this point to questions 1 to 5 and quickly take a look at those. So here we go. 1 to 5, it's this form. I'm listening for the name, the address, city, date of birth, phone number, so numbers, letters, national insurance number.
You will see that there is an example.
Okay, so no
This
examples
time
now.
only,
So
the
if you're
conversation
doing
relating to this
the
question
exams
will be
now,
played.
since 2020, there's
Good
no
morning.
examples.
You've reached the Information Office for Municipal Affairs. This is Florence speaking.
Good morning, Florence. My name is Walter, and I'd like some information on running for municipal office in the upcoming election.
You're in the right place. The first piece of information I'll need from you is the specific office you'd like to run for.
Town councillor, I'd imagine.
The man says he would like to run for town councillor, so this has been indicated for you. Now we begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning. You've reached the Information Office for Municipal Affairs. This is Florence speaking.
Good morning, Florence. My name is Walter, and I'd like some information on running for municipal office in the upcoming election.
You're in the right place. The first piece of information I'll need from you is the specific office you'd like to run for.
Town councillor, I'd imagine.
Great. I need some information from you in order to get you on the ballot this September. Are you ready to get started?
Yes, I'm ready.
This should only take a few minutes. Okay then, let's start with your surname, Walter.
Colchester. Colchester.
And Walter is spelt in the regular fashion?
Yes, Walter.
Okay, next I need your date of birth.
I was born the 11th of December, 1979.
The 11th of December 1979 makes you 36 years old at the time of the September elections. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Great. I'll need your national insurance number.
My national insurance number is WC 285-698-33.
WC 285-698-33.
That's right.
Great. And the last pieces of information I need from you are your current address and phone number.
I live at 23 Shaftesbury Lane, Plymouth, and you can reach me on 01752 667 835.
Wonderful. Next, I'll give you some information on running for municipal office.
You now have some time to look at questions 6 to 10.
Okay, and I'm looking at 6 to 10. I'm not checking those answers I just gave. I'll check those later. So I'm looking at 6. Second debate. 6, 7. Date and time. Okay. What is the campaign spending limit? Pounds are given. How much is the registration fee? Pounds are given. So I'm listening for numbers, costs. What are the 3 ways of paying for the registration? Okay, I'm going to take some notes here because I don't think I can catch all of the answers. So I'm going to take some notes and then match my notes with the answers. So this is my thought process while I have
Now
this
listen to
30
the rest of the
seconds.
interview and answer questions 6 to 10.
First of all, you should know that you're one of 15 candidates so far that have registered for the 4 town councillor positions. Since the deadline for registration is in a week, I do not anticipate this number increasing by more than a candidate or 2.
I'm paying attention to second debate.
Please know that there are 3 all-candidate debates, of which you must attend 2 in order to qualify for office.
I have to participate in debates.
Yes, that's right. They are on the 14th and 28th of August, and the final one is held on the 4th of September. They'll be held at the local community hall on Ashford Street. Each one begins at 6 o'clock in the evening.
That sounds fine. Is there anything else I need to know?
Yes, there is. Do you plan on spending money on your campaign? This could be on adverts in newspapers, promotional signage, or other advertising.
Well, I was planning on taking an ad out in the local paper, yes.
Not a problem, but please keep in mind that there is a strict £2,000 limit on campaign spending for town councillors. All expenses must be reported to this office. Overspending will result in disqualification.
I don't think that should be a problem.
Oh, and one more thing, Mr. Colchester. There is a £50 registration fee for each candidate for town councillor. You may pay this fee over the phone by credit card, with a cheque in the post, or in person with cash, credit or debit. How would you like to pay?
I live right by the office, so I'll drop by this afternoon to pay in person.
My assistant will take care of that for you. I think that is all I need from my end. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so. Thanks for your help.
You're welcome, and good luck.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, everybody, let's check our answers. We want to check for spelling mistakes, capitalization mistakes, mistakes for misinterpreting the question or the instructions, okay? Like I said, don't put the answers in the chat, and I can see that some people did not understand me or did not catch that. Just like with the listening instructions, pay really careful attention to instructions because they matter, okay? If you don't pay attention to instructions in the exam, that could cause a lot of problems. You could have an invigilator come there and say, hey, can you stop, please? You shouldn't be doing that or something. So they give you instructions, not just in the listening section, but in the exam. So pay careful attention. Okay, and I can tell that, for example, Leah and Locke and Jamshid Bek and Palak maybe joined late or did not pay attention to my instructions of do not put answers in the chat. When they give you instructions in the exam, pay careful attention because they'll interrupt you, you'll miss the audio, and you'll miss answers. Okay? All right? And Palak says part 4 is harder. Each part gets more difficult, Palak. So part 2 is harder than part 1, part 3 is harder than part 2, and part 4 is the most difficult. You're absolutely right. Okay. So again, everybody, just a reminder here, when you're looking for your mistakes, so during the answer review time, it's only about 30 seconds, so you have to be fast. Okay. Check for spelling mistakes, instruction mistakes. Like if it says one word only and you have two words, for sure it's wrong. Okay, you can only have one word. So pay really careful attention. Don't lose easy marks. So spelling mistakes, instruction mistakes. You also might find some logic mistakes. So when you see the question and your answer, you realize that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Okay, so if you put the birth date in for their name, you'll realize that doesn't make sense. So you have to fix it. So there's kind of typical mistakes, and also capitalization. You can write all capital letters. It's okay in the listening or reading. If you're not writing all capital letters, just really pay attention. Like when you're spelling his name, the name has to start with a capital letter. Okay, it's the proper way, and it is considered a mistake if you don't do that. Okay, let's look at the answers, and I'll kind of go through them with you. So here you have a form to complete. Forms are very, very typical in the IELTS exam. So be really comfortable writing down names, numbers, dates, and so on. Okay, and notice how in part 1 they repeat some of the answers. So they'll give you the answer 2 times often. So just be patient and check. Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, they will not give you the answers 2 or 3 times. They usually only give them to you once, especially in Part 3 and Part 4. So really be careful about that, okay? Yes, Amira, you are given, well, you're not given a pen. You take your own pen, but you're given a piece of paper for notes in the computer-based exam. Absolutely. Okay, so his name is Walter something, and they spell it, and I think they spell it twice. Deepak says it's Colchester. Colchester, yes, absolutely. So that was the answer. That was the correct spelling. They spelled it. If you make a spelling mistake, it's wrong. Be careful. Okay, now when it's a form like this, sometimes they go in the order, so you hear the information in the same order, but sometimes they jump around a little bit. So be careful. This is one form, so they don't have to go like 1, 2, 3, 4. They can give you the answer for 1, then 3, then 2, then 5, then 4. So they can jump around. It's important that you review the whole form and pay attention to name, address, city. She very clearly says, I'm going to ask you for your address now. So you have to really kind of pay attention, okay? All right, the address is something Shaftesbury Lane. What is it? What's his exact address? Of course, here you're listening for a number, and that number is 23. Shaftesbury Lane. Yes, that's the house number. Okay. All right. The city is Plymouth. And what is his date of birth? When was he born? So they give you the year, the month, the day. The year was 1970. I don't remember it. Somebody help me. 79. December 11. Yes, you don't need the TH. You don't need to write the full month. Abbreviation is okay. Think what's the easiest, what's the fastest, what's the clearest. This is probably it. Okay, 1979, December 11. Good. You'll get that correct. There's lots of different ways to write the date correctly. I recommend doing it like this. Year, full year, right? 1979. Don't just write 79. Then the abbreviation for the month, deaths, 11. Okay, keep it simple. You don't have a lot of time. If you're writing all capitals, this is the one risk, right? So if you're writing all capital like this, pay attention, students. It's risky, especially in the computer-based exam, because it's slower and you can make more spelling mistakes. Okay, so writing all capital letters is slower and more spelling mistakes can happen. So that's the drawback or the negative of using all capital letters. Okay, everybody got that, right? In the paper-based exam, you have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. So if you're really worried about capitalization, then capitalize your answers while you transfer your answers. Just don't make a mistake. So in the paper-based, you don't have to worry about that in the computer-based because it's different. Okay, in the computer-based, you have a few minutes to check your answers, but there's no transferring answers. And in the computer-based, you can just use caps lock to make them all capital in the first place. Okay, so in the paper-based exam, you can capitalize all answers at the end of the listening section. In the 10 minutes, that's lots of time to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Okay? Does that make sense? So you don't have to worry about writing all capitals while you're listening. It just saves you time and you're less likely to make spelling mistakes. Okay? All right? Everybody got that? Epsilonator, there are lots of formats that are correct for the date. There are like 10 different ways to write the date. What you want to do, Epsilonator, is write the clearest, easiest. So 1979, debts, period, 11. Okay? Yep, you can use forward slashes. You can use dots. Again, there are lots of ways to write the date. Just use the clearest way. Okay? All right. Now, everybody, again, just keep in mind we do have our Black Friday sale going on. BLKF Day 40 will get you a 40% discount on the premium package. And when you do that, in the audio section, you'll have these bonus audios to help you listen to numbers for like credit cards and social insurance numbers, phone numbers and such. So listen to these audios, okay?
0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, there's lots of other
Days
ones like
of the
this
week.
too.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Now, not only should you use that audio to help you hear those numbers, letters, words, but also repeat them so that you can use them in your speaking as well. So practice your pronunciation through using the premium course also. Okay, so the phone number. Everybody, number 4, what is the phone number? And I think the phone number they only give one time. So this is a good example of where you really want to be good with your numbers. Kruti says the phone number is 017 5 2 6 6 7 8 3 5. Okay, so 01752667835. Does everybody agree? I didn't write it down, and my brain isn't good enough to remember all those numbers for you. So if everybody agrees, it should be correct. Okay, that's a good way to check and a good way to do listening in groups or in your classroom and see how many people got the correct answer. Maya says, yes, it is. I can confirm that. Please don't call the number. It's probably going to go to some very surprised person. It's just a made-up number. Okay. Somebody's like, I'm going to call Mr. Walter here and see if I can talk. Mr. Walter, is this you? Probably not going to be Mr. Walter there. So don't call the number. You might get some long-distance phone charge. Okay. All right. So national insurance number. What is that? So national insurance number in the UK is like your identity number for work, for taxes. Okay. And so, again, Elizabeth says it should be WC 2856. 2856. Now they say these in sequences, right? I would definitely make the W and the C big. Okay, 2856 9833. Sounds right. Okay? That's the correct answer there. All right, so that was the first bit. Then they give you a little bit of a break. They say, okay, now you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Students, do not start looking at these like, oh, is that 23? Did I spell Colchester? And then the audio starts, and they're like, you'll have to, and you're like, what's going on? What? So when they say look at the questions, look at the questions. That's the right way to do it, okay? All right, so and don't zone out. Don't be like, I wonder what's happening on Instagram right now. So always focus yourself on the test. If you're having trouble focusing, visualize, picture yourself. You're the one applying for government office. Take a sip of water. Okay, so the administrator says, hey, you have to be in 3 debates, or 2 of 3 debates, she actually says. You'd have to participate in 2 of 3 debates. And then she says the debate times and details, and this little table here is about the second debate. So you had to be careful. The second debate is on August the 28th. So again, 28. That would be my answer. I think the third one was September 4th, Elizabeth. The first one was like August 12 or something. And then the second one was August 28th. And the third one was September 4th. Okay. So really pay attention to the given information. One of the biggest mistakes students make is they don't look at this kind of information. They think, oh, it's not important. It's very important, because if you're writing about the other 2 debates, you're gonna get them wrong. And then they give you number 7. They say all 3 debates will be starting at 18. That's your easiest answer. Okay, use the 24-hour clock. She says very clearly, they will start at 6 p.m. in the evening. You could write 6 p.m. So you could write 6 p.m. Okay, also correct. That will also get you the right mark. Could be a little bit trickier. Okay. 6 evening, Elizabeth, is okay. Deepak says 6 o'clock. You'll get that wrong. Why? Okay, so the examiner can mark that as wrong. Be really careful. Amira, same thing. If you write just 6, this you'll definitely get wrong. So Amira, if you write this, you'll definitely get it wrong. There's no question you'll get that wrong, because technically that is wrong. Okay. Yeah, so Epsiliner just says that this means it's probably the morning. Yeah, I would think that that's 6 in the morning, and which is really early for a debate. So morning, evening, we don't know. This definitely looks like 6 in the morning, so you'll get that wrong. So be really careful. When she says 6 in the evening, you have to write 6 evening, 6 p.m., or 18 o'clock for clarity. Okay, it's tricky because a lot of countries use 24-hour clocks. They don't use PM, AM. In a lot of Western countries, the UK, Canada, Australia, we use the 12-hour clock. So it has to be really clear. Otherwise, people get very confused. Okay? All right? Be careful. So this is wrong. It has to be 18. Use the 24-hour clock. Just make sure you're using it correctly. Okay? Everybody got it. Good. Okay, what is the campaign spending limit? I was listening for the spending limit or budget. Sometimes you don't hear the same word. Sometimes you might hear the word budget, right? It's the same as spending limit, budget. And of course, notice that they give you the symbol for pounds. So no pounds. Palak, you can write 6 p.m. with the words, but it's slower, so I wouldn't. Okay, I would just write 18.00. All right, so here all you need is the number 2,000. It's 2,000 pounds. The pound is given. You don't need anything else. Okay. How much is the registration fee? Again, they give you pounds. You don't need that. So it's 50. Yes. Really pay attention to hearing the difference between 15 and 50. 15, 50. The 50, there's like a D sound at the end, the TY. The 15, there's an EEN sound with an E and an N. Okay, 15, 50, right? It's faster. So 50. Again, repetition, everybody. 15, 50. Okay. Last one, question 10. You have to get all 3 correct for 1 point. It's 1 question. What are the 3 ways of paying the registration? Now, again, it gets kind of tricky staring at all of the choices. So when you have this kind of multiple choice question, the best way to do it is to take some quick notes. So she says phone, credit card, you can send a check by the mail, or you can pay in person with a check, cash, or credit. Sure. Okay. So direct debit. I don't think I heard that. Check by post. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the first. That's this one right here. The second one I wrote down. Credit in person. Credit in person. Yes. Cash by post. No. Never send money in an envelope. Just a bad idea. Okay. IELTS will not give you strange information as the answers. People will never recommend sending, or people I should say will always recommend against sending money through the post. So no. Credit over the phone. Yeah, we can use a credit card over the phone. Give some numbers. Check over the phone. That'd be pretty funny, right? You have your phone. You've got your check. And you're trying to like, I need to get my check to you, but the phone doesn't want to send. I mean, yeah, these days you have virtual checks that you can take pictures of, but generally it doesn't make sense, right? So you're not going to jam your check into the phone. It's not going to work, right? Okay. So that won't work. Don't do it, right? So the 3 answers that are correct in this case are E, C, and B. So if you got E, C, and B, and it can be any order, okay? I kind of went backwards. It can be C, E, B, B, E, C. Order doesn't matter. Just has to be correct, okay? All right. Logic, students, use logic. A lot of your marks can be saved or figured out using logic. All right. There are definitely some weird answers that don't make a lot of sense if you look carefully. All right. Yeah, epsilonator, it can be comma separated. Yeah, you can provide spaces too. Doesn't matter. So in the paper-based, spaces, commas, all good. Okay. Gonica, I think we might have some multiple choice today. If not, we'll definitely have some on Sunday for part 3 and 4. We'll get to that in just a moment. Okay. Students, how did you do? What did you get from 10? Now, hopefully some of you or many of you are thinking that was easy peasy lemon squeezy. I got 10 or I got 9. Okay, Epsilonator says I got 9. Karem Zora says I got 9. A lot of you got 10. In a good situation on the IELTS exam for part 1, okay, your goal is to get 9 or 10. If you're losing more than 1 mark in part 1, it might spell trouble because the next parts get significantly more difficult and you want to have a perfect score in part 1. Okay, Generally, students that get maybe 1, maybe 2 wrong in part 1 still get like a band 7, 6.5, 7.5. Those candidates, from my experience, who get 3 or more wrong in part 1 tend to get lower scores in the listening. They tend to get like a 5.5 or a 5 or a 4.5. So part 1 is much easier than the other parts usually. So really, really try to do your best there, okay? Students, let's do part 2. So part 2, we'll listen again and answer the questions while you listen, and I'll give you some more strategies. Let me see if we have multiple choice. We do have multiple choice for this one, Gonika, so I will definitely give you some tips on how to answer multiple choice so that you can get some good ideas around that. But now we'll listen, we'll answer, and then I'll give you the tips and strategies after. So use a headset. Again, this material is coming from our website. Use the Black Friday discount code to get all the materials from our website at a 40% discount. And you can get it through Shopify, right through YouTube, as well as from the website, okay? All right. Beck says, let's go. Let's do that, Beck. Let's go. So back to the website, we jump and back to CD6, track number 2. Listen, everybody, and answer.
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a recording of 3 people discussing strategy for an upcoming meeting with investors. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Thank you both for coming in for this preparatory meeting. As you know, we have an extremely important meeting with our investors next week. While I'm more than confident in the work we have done over the past year, we must be prepared to justify our progress to our investors. After all, they are the ones who pay our salaries. First, I want to review the positive outcomes we've achieved over the past year. This will make up the bulk of our presentation. Amy, would you like to give us a rundown on this front?
Sure. We've achieved many positive outcomes over the past year, and furthermore, we've achieved more in the past 4 months than in the previous 8 months. So we're certainly showing significant progress. First, and most important, sales of our app are up 50% from last year, totaling 586,000 units in the past 12 months, up from 390,000 units in the previous year. This is great progress. Second, we're achieving a higher purchase rate. While our sales are up 50%, the number of total downloads has remained relatively constant. This means our conversion rate has increased 50% as well. This clearly demonstrates that our efforts in this area have been fruitful. By targeting the conversion rate instead of the raw download rate, we have raised our standing and search result priority within the application stores. This will eventually lead to a higher download rate and even more sales. The upward trajectory here is very clear. We have also decreased the complaint rate from 2.5% to 1.5%. While our goal is to get this rate as close to 0 as possible, this decrease represents a positive outcome and shows that our efforts to increase customer satisfaction have been successful.
Yes, but if I may interrupt, I actually have to disagree on one point. I don't believe it should be a goal to get the complaints rate down to 0. While we certainly don't want a high complaint rate, the resources spent on getting the complaint rate down are better spent on increasing downloads and increasing the conversion rate. I think this is an important point to be made to the investors. While we certainly value the quality of our product, we are much more focused on maximising the value of the investor's investment. I think such a tack will go over well with the investors.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20.
All right, and I look 17 to 20. I don't stop on those other ones, even if I didn't get the multiple choice ones yet. The employees are requesting a 20% something in funding from the investors. This will allow the company to hire 2 additional something or someone who will allow the company to broaden their catalog of apps. They would also like to hire someone who would be in charge of finding new areas of development. Finally, the team wants a pay raise pegged to
Now listen to the
rate
rest of the interview
some
and
number
answer
or
questions.
something.
17 to 20.
All right.
That's a great point. We really want to emphasize that we are doing everything we can to optimize and maximize the money and resources we've been supplied with. Speaking of which, are we all agreed that we will be asking for 20% increase in operating budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. And how are we going to justify such an increase?
Well, certainly by pointing to the statistical outcomes you previously referenced, but also by our need to expand. We need to increase our catalogue of apps, and to do this, we will need to hire at least 2 additional developers. In addition to this, I think we are now at the point in our business where hiring a market analyst would be justified. Such a person could be charged with finding niches to exploit within the market. Right now, our operations in this regard are rudimentary at best, and an expert in the field could help increase our sales volume significantly. Such an expert's salary might take up 5% of our operating budget, but could lead to a 10% increase in sales or more. The 5% difference would result in a net income increase of almost £100,000.
I agree. Hiring a market analyst is long overdue. One more justification for a budget increase is an across-the-board pay rise, if only at the rate of inflation. 2%, say. This would go a long way to increasing worker morale and output quality. In addition to this...
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, let's check those answers, and I will give you some content about strategy there. Let me just stop the audio on the website before we continue to the next audio. Again, these practice exams, the audio, it's coming from our website. It's all original. It's all very, very much the same or similar as the Cambridge official exams. You have your interactive course that has the listening section strategies for you as well. Make sure to go through the course and listen to all the strategies there, listening to the British accent, etc. And then, of course, also use the videos for the listening section that are in your course. And to get the premium course, use the Black Friday 40% discount that we have going on, the BLKF day at checkout. Okay, it's a super smart move to make. You get lifetime access. All right. Students, let's do this. Let's go through the answers and we'll see what's going on. So here we go. Number 11, write no more than 2 words and or a number for each answer. Who pays the salaries of the workers in the recording? 1 word, doesn't need capitals. It's a common noun. It has to be a plural. Okay, Epsilonator says investors. Kruti says it's the investors. That makes sense. They talk a lot about the investors. So the investors. So it's probably like a startup company or something like that. And the investors are paying the funds to start the company. Good. Okay, so the investors pay for the salaries. Then you complete the table. Now notice in the table, I really paid attention to the column titles like sales, downloads, conversions, and I also paid attention to the row titles like current year and change. It's not just previous year, but it's change from the previous year. This is an important word here, and you'll see why in just a second. So really pay attention to those titles in the rows and columns. A lot of students, they ignore them. Big mistake. They'll probably lose 1 or 2 marks. You cannot ignore the titles. Everybody got that? Okay, so that's just a tip for tables and forms. for tables and forms. Do not ignore the titles of rows and columns. Okay? All right? It's very dangerous to do that. Okay, I see some thumbs up there. That's really good. Okay, so this one here, sales are up 50% from last year. It said last year the sales were something like 568,000. 1,000 can be denoted with K. And in this year, what was it? Who got that one? I don't remember the exact number, but it was there. Okay, it was roughly half. It was a little bit actually more than half. Anybody remember what that number was? 568,000 was the last year, or was the oh, sorry, it was the current year. Yeah. No, sorry, that was the current year. Yeah, it was 50% up, so it's 586,000. Yeah, that's where we're paying attention to the titles. Yeah, so 586,000, and the last year was like 380 something, I think, 386 or something like that, right? So check your facts, right? I realized, wait a second, if they're up 50%, then the bigger number has to be in the current year. Okay, so Epsilinator, you did not lose a mark if you put 586. I think it was 586,000, right? So it was almost double of the last year number. Okay, then downloads not given, constant. Conversion rate not given, and it was up something percent. What was it? How much was it up? What percent was it up? This is just one number here. And this one was probably the easiest on the table. It was 50. Yes. Okay. So up 50%. Now, here's the little tricky one. This is the little tricky question that's kind of like, are you paying attention? Are you using your head during the exam? So be careful about this, students. Some of the questions in the listening and the reading are checking to see, are you using your brain, right? So the answer to question 14, Epsilinator says 1. And the answer is 1. Why? It was a little bit of a tricky one. You have to be careful, right? The speaker says that it's the change. Remember what I said? Change from the previous year. So the speaker says in the previous year it was 2.5%. It says this year it's 1.5%. So the difference is 1%, which is this answer here. Okay, let me move my head out of the way. You can see my equation. All right. My big fat head was in the way there. But it's simple math. Yes, Anahita says it's 2.5 minus 1.5 equals 1. IELTS is not just can you catch words in English, it's can you understand English. That's the big difference, okay? So be really careful about that. And the later you are in the listening parts, the more it's about that, okay? So that's an important tip, everybody. Tip. IELTS is not just can you catch English words. But it is, do you understand and process English? Okay. There will be some questions that require you to do some math or figuring out. Okay. Now, this is more true the later you are. So, part 1 is a lot of just catching English. Part 4 is a lot of understanding English. Okay, makes sense, everybody? Yeah? So the later you are in the listening, the more it's about interpretation and understanding, and the less about just catching keywords. So this is where, you know, when your teachers or somebody on YouTube says, just pay attention to the keywords. Sure, for part 1. Not so much for part 3 and part 4. Yeah, you have to pay attention to the subjects, the key verbs, the key nouns, but you have to focus a lot on understanding the information. Okay, Palak says, I can't understand the accent. What should I do? Palak, listen to a lot of British English. There are lots of different accents in the UK. This guy was actually one of the, two of the 3 speakers were British. One was a New Zealander. Okay, so listen to different kinds of English so your ear can adjust for that. All right. Okay, let's take a look at the remaining questions. So, multiple choice. Someone said, what can I do about multiple choice? It was Gonika. Gonika says, what's the right strategy? What do I do for multiple choice? Well, you probably saw that at the beginning there, I crossed out the choices. Okay. Why? Because the number one reason students get multiple choice questions wrong in both the listening and reading is, what do you think? What is it? Why do students often get multiple choice questions wrong in the listening and reading? You can tell me instead of me telling you. Because if I tell you, you might not believe me. You might be like, hey, I don't know, it's not true. You're telling me. So hear it from your classmates. They will probably give you a good answer to this question. Why do many students or exam takers get multiple choice questions wrong? What's kind of the number one mistake? Okay, Elizabeth says because they're reading the answers. Yeah, Redexar says because they're losing time reading the answers. Yeah, that's it. Okay, put simply, yeah, so I'm just telling you what your classmates are telling you. They are paying too much attention to the choices, hoping the right answer will jump out. Will pop out, right? Like they're thinking the right answer will just suddenly go, boom, this is the right answer. I'm here. Hi, how are you? Choose me. I'm the good guy. Those C, D, and A, they're the bad guys. Don't pick them. It's me. It's me you want. Maybe in the cartoon land, but not in reality, unfortunately. So hoping the right answer will pop out. That is absolutely wrong, especially because IELTS paraphrases. So if you're trying to catch a key word or something like that, you won't catch it. It's often not there. Okay. So hoping the right answer will pop out, and not just for IELTS, it's true for university exams and high school exams too, right? So it's seen as like all the options look good. Yeah, in university you have to choose the best option, so it becomes even more difficult if you're trying to do this, okay? Gonika, you following? That's why. Okay? So if you're thinking all the answers are similar, it's probably because you're looking at the answers, not the questions. So they're paying too much attention to the choices instead of the question and the right answer. The right answer should come from your head first. If you don't have the right answer, then you use some other strategies like deduction, elimination, and so on, okay? Only if you do not have a clue about the answers or the answer should you use deduction, keywords, and just random guessing. Well, logic, and random guessing your favorite letter, right? Okay, so first you have to think about the answers. So that's why when you see multiple choice on the IELTS exam, focus on the question. What point do the investors disagree on? Okay, I am listening for one of the people here to say, I don't agree, or I think it's different. I believe there's another way. There's various ways to disagree. You might hear it's part 2, so you're lucky the speaker uses the word disagree. But in part 4, they probably won't. Even in part 3, they won't say I disagree. They'll say something like, I don't think that's right. So they're going to use different words. And then they say, I think we should be focusing on this instead. So you realize that, oh, they're disagreeing, right? So I listened for the answer, and I heard the person say that we shouldn't focus on getting the complaint rate down. We should focus on increasing the conversion rate. And now I'm going to check which of these matches my answer. So ways to increase conversion rate, how to convince investors to increase funding, getting the complaint rate as low as possible. Getting the complaint rate down, that one matches. So the correct answer is C. Right? They disagree on getting the complaint rate down. That's what he says. He says our goal shouldn't be to get the complaint rate down. That's how we know that they disagree, right? And then 16, same thing. What is of primary importance? So here I'm listening for most importantly, or we should really focus on our main objective, our main goal should be, and I listen for that, and then the speaker says our main goal should be to maximize the investor's investment or money. Everybody following me today so far? Yes? You're good? So pay attention to the question. Pay attention to the answer, then choose the right one. If you're looking at all these choices, you're going to get confused, waste a lot of time. It's going to be very difficult. Okay? Makes a lot of more sense this way, right? And most of you have the English level to do it this way. Okay? So Ganika, does that make more sense now of how to do multiple choice questions? So here, maximizing the value of the investor's investment. Yes, that looks good. So the answer is A. You should read the other choices if you have time, but if you found the right one right away, go for it. Increasing the funding? No. Convincing the company to increase download? No. So it's A. Okay? So I was right. It is A. Okay, I see a lot of thumbs up, which is super. It means a lot of you are kind of getting it. I don't know if Ganika is still here, but hopefully Ganika's like, oh, I get it. It's not the answers that are the trick. It's the question that's the trick. Okay, good. The faster you switch to this strategy and start to get it, the better your multiple choice tests will be. Not just the IELTS, but other multiple choice tests also. For the TOEFL exam, you have to do this. Okay, you have to. If you're staring at the choices, you will be in big trouble. Okay. All right. 17 to 20, everybody. Complete the summary. Write no more than 2 words and or a number. The employees are requesting a 20% something in funding from the investors. 20%, I listened to that number. Numbers are easy to catch. So here they're like 20%. That's right, Deepak. It was a 20% increase. 20% budget doesn't make sense. That means they would get a fifth of the money that they get so far. Nobody would request that. Hey, give us less money. That is something I don't hear in the world these days. Except today for Black Friday, we're saying to you, give us less money. We'll give you the premium course. But usually you don't hear that. Usually people want more money. So the employees are requesting a 20% increase in funding from the investors. This will allow the company to hire 2 additional what? The person even explains it. He's like, we need to increase our catalog of apps. So we need 2 additional developers. It's 2. So it's S, developers, not a developer. If you put developer 1, you'll get it wrong because it's 2 additional developers. Notice how there's no or un or the. So it's developers. Listen to that S sound, okay? like the buzzing of bees in your ear. Who will allow the company to broaden their catalog of apps. They would also like to hire this one was a little bit tricky if you don't know the collocation of the word. It's a market analyst, not analyst, Asina. It's a market analyst. Kruti, not analysts. It's a. Here we have the article a. Pay attention. It's going to be one. A market analyst. Market analyst. Okay, who would be in charge of finding new areas for development? Finally, the team wants a pay raise pegged to the rate of what? This was a tricky one. You hear a couple of answers that seem like they're correct, but there's actually one answer here. It's inflation. And today, that's very true. You would not want to say, oh, 2%. We had 8% inflation. Ooh. So pay raise pegged to the rate of inflation, not 2%. Okay, 2% was just an example of the rate of inflation. This is like, for example, like 2%. But whatever the inflation rate is, it could be 2.5, it could be 3.5. Today, it would probably be like 7.5. So pegged to the rate of inflation. Okay, trickier one there. You have to choose the best answer for IELTS. How did you do in part 2, everybody? What did you get out of 10 there? Or I should say, how did you do in part 1 and 2? What did you get out of 20? Ruthra, 6 out of 10 is okay on part 2. You kind of want more like a 7 or more. Okay, Epsilonator, 16 out of 20 is good. So Epsilonator says I got 16 out of 20. 16 out of 20 is pretty good. Okay, you want to get 16 or more, everybody. So for part 2, you want to get 16 or more. So Fuang, 18 is great. Asina, 14 is a little bit less than you should be going for because the most difficult parts are coming up after. And the most difficult parts, everybody, so part 3 and part 4 of this listening exam, we're going to do at the same time as this class here on YouTube, okay? And if you want to get a head start, if you want to get a jump on it, then go to the website, go to aehelp.com, get all 6 practice exams, the interactive course I was showing you, all the videos, and you can do that by clicking this big red button and joining our premium IELTS package. It's a one-time payment. The listening section is the same for general IELTS, so you can, of course, follow with the same listening at the general IELTS website. The reading and writing sections will be different on that website, okay? And again, when you click that, just enter the code BLKFDAY for Black Friday 40. You'll get a 40% discount. One-time payment, lifetime access, can't go wrong. It's like you're virtually getting it all for free. So almost, not quite, but almost. Okay, so take advantage. Black Friday, you can get it through Shopify on YouTube as well. So if you're like, I just want to use YouTube, I don't believe you guys, Adrian doesn't exist, he's virtual reality, then buy it through Shopify through YouTube. It's the same idea, same code, okay? Thank you so much, everybody, for being with me here today. Tomorrow, we've got Speaking Part 2, Speaking Part 3. We will use Zoom to speak to viewers and students. I will share the Zoom link with you on the YouTube community board today. I will also share it with you in class tomorrow. So download Zoom, install it on your phone, on your computer, and then we'll use that tomorrow. I will listen to your speaking. I will ask you questions, give you some tips and some band score estimates, and I'm really looking forward to that. We had a good Zoom session with the reading just before this class. It was fun. It worked great. So we'll use it. All right, everybody, aehelp.com, glshelp.com. I am checking out from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Much love to all of you, wherever you are in the world. I hope your weekends continue to be great, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Bye for now.